Sanjeel, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us to share your success story. Really appreciate your time, brother, today.
yeah, thank you so much. How are you?
Doing good, Sanjeel. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing good as well.
Okay, great. Well,
Mm,
Sanjeev, first of all, again, you are and definitely an inspirational person for many of the
mm,
job seekers and international students are out there. So wanted
mhm,
to speak with you and wanted to get your insights on how
mhm.
did you make this happen. And before we get to the good news about where you have landed the job, I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
So, Sanjil, I want to tap into your journey and how it all started. So, if you may share a little bit about your education journey and journey in your home country, and how did you come here and what year and etc. If you can give us a little bit of your overview of journey of your life.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So, hi, I am Sanjeel Bhosle. I did my bachelor's from Mumbai University in computer engineering field, and after then I landed a job in Wipro Technologies as a data engineer. So I worked there for almost 2 years before coming here for masters in the US. So after completing 2 years in Wipro, I enrolled for the master's degree program in University of Texas at Dallas in the major information technology and management. So I have due to my past experience and I have always been inclined towards the data engineering field. Uh, so my major was in data engineering or data analytics field. So I enrolled in the courses similar to that field itself, and I have been looking into these jobs in US for some industry experience, like for some internships or full-time job roles. And currently I landed a job like last week in EY as a data engineer. So I would thanks to ElevateMe for the overall help in the process, because I graduated in May 2025 and it took me 10 months to get an interview and land a offer letter. So I think it was really helpful, Elevate Me process, like the support that Elevate Me extended to me. So I guess it was really helpful for me.
Sanjil, thank you so much for sharing the overview about your career and how you landed a job at UI, which is amazing company,
Mm,
to work for. So,
mm,
Sanjil, you mentioned you graduated in May 2025, uh, and I'm guessing you tried on your own for a while. And tell us about your
yeah.
experience when you were trying a job search on your own. How did it feel,
Mhm.
and how long did you try?
So I've been looking for jobs in this, US market since past last year. So, after my 1 year, I am I was looking for the internship in US in the data engineer field itself, but I unfortunately I did not land any such. So I had to look for some full-time experience. So after my graduation in May, I did try on my own for a few months, roughly for 2 to 3 months actively. I was consistently applying through LinkedIn and other job portals. But it started to feel a bit repetitive and unpredictable. So some weeks I would get responses from the recruiters, but most of the time it was either rejections or no replies from them. So it was honestly a bit frustrating, and because I knew I had the skills and experience in this field, but I just wasn't getting the right visibility towards the job market search. So that's when I realized I didn't needed a more structured approach and better positioning me for me to to look into these job openings. So that's when I my friend introduced me to the Elevate Me program. And so once I joined it, they helped me to market my profile and optimize my GitHub and LinkedIn profile, as well as resumes for different job openings. So I think that really helped me with different sessions that used to occur, weekly sessions, like behavioral sessions or technical sessions, or maybe one-to-one technical sessions as well. So I think that helped me a lot in this overall process. And before interviewing as well, they had prep sessions with me, one-to-one. So I think that was really helpful for me to get past the interview rounds.
That makes sense, Sanjil. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Really appreciate it, brother. So, Sanjil, you mentioned about how it was unpredictable when you were applying for a job. Some weeks you hear back, some weeks you don't hear back.
Mm-hmm.
And as per my experience, the most frustrating thing is like you actually, as a student, you don't know what's wrong, right?
Right.
That's the most frustrating part. Like, hey, if someone tell me what's wrong, then maybe we can fix it. But when you don't hear back
Mm-hmm.
from them, and also on top of that, I hear all the time from student that doing it by yourself is also very difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is no one to bounce back ideas or talk about it. That's also gets
Yeah.
very lonely.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that, the
Mm-hmm.
struggles about when you were doing on your own and how frustrating it was.
Yeah.
So one challenge you mentioned, Sanjil, about, you were not hearing back from the recruiters, or
Mm-hmm.
what were the other challenges that you remember you were facing during that time of, period of time?
So sometimes whenever I used to apply for any jobs on any job portals or even through LinkedIn, used to get rejections just a second after applying on that job portal. So like not hearing from back from the recruiters was like definitely one of the biggest challenges. But there were a few others too. Like one issue was like I mentioned, getting rejection just be due to the maybe sponsorship issues. It instantly used to I used to get a rejection mail from the job portal. So another issue was like even when I used to get responses, like many roles were not fully aligned with my background in data engineering, and it felt like I was spending time on the positions that basically weren't a right fit for me at that moment. So another challenge was understanding how to tailor my resume for like different roles and making sure like my experience stood out in a competitive market. So after a point it became like mentally exhausting because you keep applying every day without like knowing what needs to improve in your entire overall profile.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's very frustrating. And
Mm.
did you were you able to land any calls at all? And how was those calls going? Any interviews you had during that time at all?
So, like after my graduation, maybe like due to the sponsorship issues, I never made it to the
The
technical
interview.
rounds, but like very rarely I was getting few calls here and there, but it wasn't like very much consistent. So like some weeks I would get or maybe even in a month I used to get a call or two, or maybe nothing for a while. So even when I like used to get the introductory interviews, I felt like they didn't always convert because either maybe the role wasn't like perfectly aligned, or they didn't want to like sponsor me at that moment. So like a couple of interview went to later rounds as well, but I wasn't able to like close them due to like different reasons. So overall it felt like like a bit like hit or miss and not very structured.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, and also when they sometimes don't give a proper reason also, right? Why they rejected
Right.
you, why they didn't
Yeah.
accept you. So that leaves us wondering like what exactly went wrong, and we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. So like I did get some calls, but so in interviews there will I realized like there was a gap, not necessarily in skills that I had, but in how I was maybe presenting my experience and aligning it with the role. So that was also like one issue that I faced during these interview stages.
And also, it's interesting the what you mentioned earlier that you started looking for a job or internship right after you
Mhm.
came here, maybe in a 6 month, but you had no success in that. And I always tell student based on my knowledge, I came here in 2013 as an international student. I
Mhm.
also gone through all the things that you went through and the others are going through. So I'm very, very familiar with the situation and what happens. But one of my personal observation, and you let me know, Sanjil, what you think about it
Mhm.
is like, hey, if you are about to graduate and you're 2 or 3 months away from your
Mhm.
graduation, and if you do not have a job offer, it
Mhm.
means you are already too late. That's
Right,
how I
that
go.
is another issue. Yeah.
Because most students they think like, okay, I'll try on my own. Let me graduate, and then they try on their own for multiple months, In your case,
Yeah,
you only
yeah.
do it for 3 4 months, but some cases they do it for like very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Then they end up wasting bunch of time. So what do you say about that? How should student think about graduation and joining Elevate Me or any other something external help, you know?
So, I think right after your master's degree, startup, you should focus on building your resume or your or profile on LinkedIn. So, I like what you explain. I think that's like a very real situation that every international student like go through. So, from my experience, I wouldn't say, you are too late if you don't have an offer by graduation, but it definitely, becomes more challenging and stressful day by day. So the biggest thing is like timing. So if you start too late, you're like competing with a much larger pool and there's like much more pressure on you. So personally, I feel like students who like start early on and at least like try on their own, that helps them understand the entire market and like where they stand in that job market. So by like, but at the same time, if you're not seeing consistent progress after some time, it like makes sense to get any kind of structured help, or whether it's maybe Elevate Me or any reliable like external support. For me, the difference was having like a more focused approach instead of just blindly applying on the job portals. So I would say like don't wait too long, like hoping things will just work out, or like be proactive, and if needed like take help at the right time from the right people.
So in your opinion, Sanjil, what is the right time to take help? Is it right after graduation or a month before graduation or after, like what is the right time for students to start? And realize that, hey, you know what, I need external help.
Mhm.
One thing you mentioned that, hey, if you're not getting responses or if you're doing unstructured,
Yeah.
you should get some structured help, which I agree. But when? How does the student know that this is the time?
So, like from my experience, I would say the ideal time is actually a couple of months before graduation and not afterwards. So that's when you still have time to prepare on your mark like profile, position like your resume properly, and also start getting into the interview pipeline early on. So if you
Mm,
wait until the graduation, it's not wrong, but the pressure like increases on you a lot, because now you're like racing against time and a bigger like pool of candidates. So like I would say students should start on their own early on, but if they don't see any consistent transaction, they shouldn't wait for too long. Like, it's never too late for getting any structured help, like 2 to 3 months before graduations, which can also like actually make a difference in their like job market journey. So that timing gives you a like smoother transition instead of stressful one.
that's a good point, Sanjay. You mentioned 2 3 months before. I was thinking maybe a month before graduation, but that also
Mhm.
makes sense. The more time you, the better it is, right? Like the earlier you
Yeah,
start, the better it is with the structure help.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So like
So
ideally 2 3 months before graduation, like that's when you can still prepare properly for your interviews, or you can work on your technical skills or behavioral skills, and enter the job market with the the correct momentum. So like waiting until after the graduation adds on a lot of pressure on you. So it's better to be proactive and get help early if needed.
makes sense. So, Sanjil, when you realize that, oh, you need to get some external help, what are the other options were there in a, apart from Elevate Me available for you in the market?
So, like you can always, rely on the referrals. Like you can reach out to your seniors or maybe your alumni, working on any, specific company, and you are like, aiming for that job market particularly. So you can reach out to other people and start networking early on. So apart from like Elevate Me or any like, firm, there are quite a few options in the market, but I was looking at the firms that would help me with the marketing profiles and job placements, and also a platform where like LinkedIn, where you can directly apply and connect with recruiters. So I was looking for someone who can help me for a structured approach, rather than blindly applying on like a lot of portals. So some people also, like I mentioned, go through referrals or networking groups, which I did try a bit as well. But the challenge with most of this was either the process felt very much unstructured, or there wasn't much guidance, like end-to-end guidance on that. So that's where Elevate Me like felt a bit more organized in terms of how they approach the profile marketing and the overall interview support. That's it.
Sanjil, what about consultancies are also there? Were you getting approached
Mhm.
by them as well, consultancies?
Yeah, like there were other consultancies as well in the market, which will help you, but like the direct applications through LinkedIn and referrals, like I explored a mix of those, but most didn't have a very like guided approach end to end. And like I was getting approached from by a few other consultancies as well through other job portals or LinkedIn as well. So they would reach out with opportunities or ask, to market my profile, but honestly with many of them the communication wasn't very consistent or the process wasn't very much clear from their end. So sometimes it felt more like volume based rather than focus on the right feed for the job market. So that was like one of the reason I leaned towards ElevateMe, because like the approach felt much more transparent compared to the others who were like reaching out to me.
Right. And also, I'm not sure if you're familiar or not, but consultancies sometimes, most all of them, I think they had a fake experience as well. Sometimes they
Yeah,
tell, sometimes they don't tell, and then
right.
later get people in trouble. Are
Mm-hmm.
you familiar with that? And did you have to
Uh,
face those
so I
issues?
have heard about those like consultancies through a few of my friends, like how they work overall in the process. Like they might fake your like entire profile structure and then market your profile, and so during background verification you might face some issues, or they might fake your experience in the resume or in your entire like job profile. And when if even if you like land a job, you might face difficulties while working because you never had those experience in your like real time experience. So that was one of the issue that I have heard through my friends about this consultancies process.
That is very true, actually. That friend gave you
Mm,
a really nice, good suggestion, because some of the
mm,
friends don't give good suggestion. They
right.
get go join here, but I think it's very true. It's very serious matter, because you
Mm,
someone who is new to the country, they don't know much. They end up joining this consultancy, and then they had fake experience, and then they
mm,
get stuck for life.
right.
Because every time there is a background check, you have to go back to them, and
Yeah,
let them
exactly.
run out of business, because they are doing unethical, illegal, whatever you want to call it. So
Yeah.
thanks to your friend who gave you a good suggestion. What kind
And
of
like a lot of
success?
people might reach out to you, so you just have to be, or or make sure that those people are very much transparent with you and clear to you with their entire process on how they approach the entire interview, like stages, and until your recruitment completes with the company. So yeah.
Right. So, Sanjil, before you joined Elevate Me, our team would have reached out to you, discussed with you. What were the some of the doubts were there before enrolling in your mind about Elevate Me?
Yeah, like before enrolling, I did have some few initial doubts, which I think would be normal for like, anyone. So the main one was for me, one was around how effective the process would actually be for me, because there were a lot of, consultancies in the market, as I said, and not all of them are consistent in delivering the end result. So I was also unsure about the timelines, like how long it would, realistically take to start or seeing the results or the interview calls. Another
Mhm.
small concern was whether the support would be continuous throughout the process or just, limiting to onboarding. So, but after speaking with your team, those doubts got cleared because the process was, explained clearly and expectations were like, set upfront. So I had to schedule calls one to one with the your team regarding like clearing those doubts. So I think that was really helpful to clear the initial doubts that everybody has before enrolling into any like any forms or with like any external support, I would say. So I think that was really helpful. Those like one-to-one meetings that was like particularly set to clear those doubts.
I'm guessing it was with the admission team to clearing those
Yeah,
doubts.
with the admission team, right?
Correct. Makes sense. Thanks for sharing that feedback. Appreciate it. Do
Yeah.
you remember you spoke with Rushikesh? Who else you spoke with?
So initially I spoke with Abhijit, and from there I spoke with Rishikesh to clear some, further doubts. So those two were the initial like, point of contact where I got to know about the Elevate Me and the entire process.
Nice. So all thanks to Abhijit and Rushikesh for your
Yeah,
success.
they were really like, helpful much.
So, Sanjil, fast forward, you joined Elevate Me. What were the first
Mhm.
few improvements that you noticed in yourself that you were like, okay, wow, this is something, it's working, it's moving in a positive direction. Of course,
Mhm.
you don't get the job overnight, but what were the few initial improvement you noticed in yourself?
Yes, so like initially, my resume was very much generalized. I would say it was not focusing on a lot of technical side on the job positions that I used to apply. So I connected with few of the mentors at the initial rounds where I discussed like on my goals and my for what exactly I am aiming for. So I had one-to-one sessions with those mentors as well, like with Niti and Devina. So they really help me in those like one-to-one mentoring sessions to align my entire profile with the job market or the target roles that I've been looking out for. So I think the first like noticeable improvement was in how my profile started getting more visibility after these mentoring sessions. So earlier I was applying a lot but not hearing back from the recruiters after, but after like joining I started seeing more structured like outreach and interview opportunities coming in towards me for as I aligned my skill sets with my profile. So that itself gave me a confidence that like things were moving in the right directions. And after the like improvement, I it was I was in how I approached interviews. I became more focused on how to present my experience in a clear, impactful, like driven way instead of just listing out the task, I would say.
So, Sanjil, that is very important point. Last point you mentioned, how to
Mhm.
represent your experience, how to communicate about it, how to show that impact.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more. How did that change? Did that change because of the Divina and Niti's coaching sessions? How to portray yourself? How to position yourself?
Yeah, so I had weekly we used to have one sessions with them on behavioral rounds. So I think that very much like helped us practice on how to deliver our answers more confidently and in a more structured way for the behavioral questions, because people usually focus on much more on the technical side in the interviews, but we forget that there is always a behavioral questions or the managerial question or the behavioral round coming up next. So that's where people start fumbling a lot and are not able to answer it in a more structured or in a perfect way. So uh, that was actually a key shift for me. So earlier I used to like explain my work in a more like task based way, like what I did day to day, and the tools I like I used to work with. But I realized that wasn't really creating impact in the interviews. Through the coaching sessions and daily interactions, I started learning on how to reframe those answers in more or around outcomes, like what problem I solved and what improvement I did or how it impacted the business or the project. So that change in perspective like made a big difference in the interview rounds, I would say.
Very well said. Makes sense, and I agree. Some
Mhm.
of the things that the students or the job seekers do not realize is the power of career coach. That
Right.
was one of the things that as Elevate Me we think about from day one. That hey,
Right.
let's have a career coach. Let's coach them on how to be a behavioral, because most of the
Mhm.
people are good with technical stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
explaining technical, but hey, how do you represent that technical? How do you position that? How do you say that? How do you show the
Hmm.
impact? And that is what actually drives the results. So thanks for recognizing that, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
So apart from that, like how did the team supported you, the CSC Career Service Executive team, with your job application and interview and all of that? Tell us a little bit about their support to you.
So I was, getting help from Anmol. So actually, Vyomesh contacted me first with at the start, and then Vyomesh told me I would be assigned a particular point of contact who would be helping me, with the applications and the day-to-day, like job applying activities. So that was Anmol Jain. Yeah, that was Anmol Jain. So the career, like service executive, he was the one. So they were very much involved throughout the entire process. So one of the main ways they supported me was helping me refine my resume and making sure it was like positioned properly for the roles I was targeting. That helped me more get relevant visibility. So they were also like very much, consistent in sharing the updates and opportunities. So I didn't feel like I was on my own trying to figure things out. So they were always there with me. So whenever I had like interviews coming up, they helped with, setting up sessions with the like one-to-one sessions with the mentors and the career coaching to help me prepare for the interviews better on. So overall, it felt more, really helpful compared to doing it alone, because there was someone guiding you entire process and making sure I stayed on track.
That's very good. Thank you so much
Hmm.
for sharing that. And I've also heard, like, they keep in touch with you and they follow up and help you, manage interviews and calls and very
Yeah, right.
every
So
day.
in a week, like they schedule a call with you if you have any concerns or where they can improve themselves. So it's like a feedback session with them for 10 to 15 minutes,
Uh,
and you can, clear your doubts or tell them what you can, expect them from them, and how they can be more useful to you in guiding you and throughout the process. So that was also really helpful.
right. Yeah, I mean, they do amazing job with that and helping and
Mhm.
supporting student day in and day out.
Yeah.
As students are busy preparing or taking interviews, they take care of the back office, checking
Right.
emails, making sure interviews are properly set up, things like that.
Hmm.
So, Sanjil, of course, EY is a very dream company to work for anyone. And by the way, side story, I interviewed for EY Entrepreneur of the Year. So EY
Oh,
runs
really?
Entrepreneur of the Year, program. I hope to
Hmm.
apply someday with ElevateMe and become a EY Entrepreneur of the Year. But that's a side
Oh,
story.
nice. Yeah,
So
yeah.
EY is a great company to work for, and the next question I have is, before you landed the interview with EY, what were the other interviews? How many interviews you landed before finally getting this job?
So I used to get the initial calls from the HR, like wherever I used to apply. So there were very few interviews, not very much large number, I would say, but there were like 2 to 3 interviews lined up. So it was basically just with the HR, like screening interviews, as you say. So it was just a screening stage where they ask you a couple of questions on about about yourself and the projects that you have been working on or your expectations from the role, and then they tell you about they tell about the company and what they do exactly. So
Mhm.
those were the interviews that I used to get, but somehow it didn't,
Mm.
converted into the technical rounds, or it moved forward.
Right. Were you able to take any mock interview session with Divina or Niti?
Yes, so I used to have sessions with Niti and Devina like once in a week. So we used to have these behavioral question rounds with them. So they used to give us like a real life interview like use cases, and they used to give us some time to prepare it for them. And we used to, in the call itself, we used to prepare the answers and give it to them, and they used to give us the feedback on how we can improve on those, delivering the answers, and what to expect exactly in the interviews, and where we can, correct ourselves. So that was one thing that was really helpful in building up the confidence and, reframing the answers in the coming interviews. Also, we used to have the technical mentoring sessions as well with Pinky and Munna Pandey. So where they used to teach us have some basic brush up of the knowledge on the tools that like we used to like targeting for the roles. So even those sessions were like really like, informative and helpful on that.
Yeah, Pinky and Munna both are great. So Pinky and
Mhm.
Munna were also helped you prepare with some of the interviews as well.
Yeah, so before my EY interview, I had a prep section like one day before with Munna Pandey.
Mhm.
Like it was just trial round of interviews, I would say. So he had an interview with me one day before my actual interview, and he suggested me, where I can improve myself and how I should, frame the answers, or how I should approach the technical questions specifically in the uh, actual interviews. So I had my technical interview planned next day, and he actually, guided me or like informed me how I can, approach those interview coding questions.
Munna is amazing. I love him, and
Yeah.
Pinky as well. She's amazing. Both of them are
Right, yeah.
best at what they do and preparing the student. We always get like 4.8, 4.9 rating out of 5 for
Yeah.
both of them, and also Divina and Nidhi
Neatly,
also
right,
does
yeah.
a very
Yeah,
good job. Saying thank you
right.
for sharing their feedback. Appreciate it. So when you were, needing a team or want them to speak with you, were they always available for you and be responsive to you whenever you needed our team?
Yeah, definitely. So whenever like I used to reach out to them, they used to be like, you can schedule a one-to-one call with us. So they were quite responsive, I would say, whenever I needed any kind of support. I wouldn't say it was like, they would take any much waste any much time, but whenever I reached out for them for any clarifications, I would get timely response and proper follow-ups through them. So in terms of guidance, whenever I needed any help with any updates or interview related questions, they were available for me and helped me out with the uh, proper inputs from their end.
Well, it's a drum roll moment, Sanjil. I think you already told you are working at EY. So if you're comfortable,
Yeah.
please share us the package and the role that you are working at EY, and just tell us a little bit more about the role and inspire everyone who is listening this call.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I had experience working as a data engineer back in India as well. So currently also like in EY, I'm working as a data engineer. So it's just been a week over there, and I've been very much overwhelmed with the going to the office and getting my first job in the US. So like it's been really going good with the mentors over there. They are very much really helpful, and like fortunately like I was working in a similar field. So the project is also based on the Azure platform, on which I had very much quite experience back in India as well. So I think that role like perfectly aligned with my profile. So that was one of the reason I wanted to land an interview with them and eventually get an offer with them. And with the help of ElevateMe and all the mentors, I think the entire interview stage process really went well. And um, I like the result and outcome was what was I was expecting. I received it. So yeah, thank
Amazing.
you, thank you for the entire team.
Thank you, man, to you as well. Congratulations. That's a big moment.
Hmm.
Before I let you go, I have a few last question. Beyond,
Yeah.
salary and everything, job, of course, it feels amazing. What other, feelings you have? Share us your feeling. How does it feel to have a job finally after a long wait?
So I actually landed a job after 10 months after my graduation. So honestly, it feels really, relieving and satisfying more than anything else. So after consistently applying and going through the process for the past 10 months, and getting a job finally gives, that sense of stability and directions. So it also feels like a validation of all your efforts that you have put in over this months, learning, improving interviews, staying consistent throughout the process, even when things were moving very slowly. So at the same time, I would say it's also a bit of motivating, because now I feel like I have started the right journey in my career, and I am looking forward to the building on it and growing further in this field itself.
It's amazing, Sanjay. Thanks so much for sharing. And what is your advice to the, all the OPT, STEM OPT, H1, all the international talent out there? They are
Mm.
struggling to find a job. How would you recommend them? I know you talked about structure help and taking outside help, but many people think about
Right.
the money. And how do you think about money, investment, and taking help and all of that?
So I would say like we all know like the current job market is very much tough for the international students, especially the people who are looking for full-time roles on OPT or STEM OPT. The situation can feel like very time sensitive, or the approach. So I would say the approach really matters on how you proceed for the job market applying process. So from my experience, the biggest mistake would be waiting too long and doing everything alone without seeing any expected results. So about the money part, I think of it as an investment in time and directions. If you're spending months applying without clarity or outcomes, that also has an indirect cost. So like losing time, missed opportunities, and adding stress on yourself. So the decision is like more about balancing effort versus like outcome, rather than just the expense of yourself. So that said, I would still recommend students first try on their own for a specific period of time, build their own profile, understand the market, and then if you're not seeing the progress, like take some external guided help early instead of waiting too long in this process. So the key is not the service itself, but having a clear strategy and support when needed, so you don't lose that valuable time on the OPT timelines.
And then also, once you land a job, it feels free, it feels less anxiety, more less stress.
Right,
What
exactly.
about the
Yeah.
family, Sanjay? Are the family involved? Like, do they know you have a job finally? And is family, how family is?
Yeah, definitely. So I told him like when I received my offer letter in hand, I that day itself my family has been aware and they have been aware about throughout my journey, especially because
Right.
it was a bit long and a bit long process. So when I finally got the job, I shared it with them right away, and they were really happy and relieved as well because they have seen the effort and the uncertainty over the past few months. So it also gives them a sense of stability now, like knowing things are on track for their son, and overall it felt good for them to like share this moment with them after the wait.
Well, Sanjil, thank you so much for all the knowledge sharing and everything you shared with us today. We appreciate
Hmm.
your honesty and transparency. Once
Yeah,
again, congratulations, man. You will
thank you
be
so
never
much.
be this poor. You'll be always, up and above, and you're gonna be very rich person now. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the entire team for supporting me in this entire process from till I get onboarded in the job interview. So yeah, I'm really like truly grateful for the entire team.
Thank you, man.